So I'm here with René Armas Maes. René is the chairman of the advisory board for Aviation Festival Americas. He is an air transportation consultant and vice president. His expertise include business restructuring, strategic planning, revenue optimization, and cost reduction initiatives. Likewise, Renee is an airline management instructor focusing on revenue growth, cost containment strategies, negotiations, and strategic planning. In addition, he is the airport instructor on behalf of Airport Council International, focusing on airport financial management and securing airport financial health. Furthermore, Renee is a regular news contributor for CNN, Bloomberg, Reuters, and Flight Global. Welcome, Renee, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity, Kyla.
I'll just jump right into it here. As you know, we're planning Aviation Festival Americas 2023, and I'm so excited to have you back as chairman. And as we continue observing strong passenger demand, high fares, and strengthen airline profitability as airlines continue recovering capacity, is this going to last? And what do you observe as the top three challenges airlines will be facing in the first half of 2023?
Yeah, before diving into the key industry challenges and put this all in context, let's start analyzing where we are. Indeed, fewer flight schedules and high passenger demand have sent airline fare soaring. In fact, the CPI, if you look at the CPI index in the US, it shows a city fare average close to $300 at the end of October 2022, or 30% higher and 8% higher as well when you compare that to a year ago and to October 2019, respectively. Therefore, airlines are enjoying in the third quarter of 2022 and most likely will do the same in the fourth quarter of this year. They are having a higher than expected passenger demand and which is ended up in pushing yields up, while lower fuel costs help airlines to optimize their top line performance, their EBITDA, their net margins, and all that. And that is good news indeed for the airlines. Now, in terms of key challenges in the first half of 2023, the top three challenges are fuel price volatility, especially as the airline's profitability is closely related to fuel prices, rising labor costs, which will end up putting extra additional pressure on unit costs, and a potential global slowdown that remains in the horizon. But let's start with the first challenge. The first challenge will be fuel costs. And fuel costs represent, at least in the US, the largest or the second largest airline cost. If you look at the oil Brent, it was trading at $84 per barrel at the beginning of the week of December the 5th, or 30% lower than 6 months ago, when the Brent was trading around $120 per barrel. On the other hand, if you look at the global jet fuel prices, it closed at $2.9 per gallon, or 28% lower than 6 months ago, that it was trading at $4, showing a spread of 90 cents between the two highly related commodities. Meanwhile, the spread between the two commodities was about 2 times higher 6 months ago. So again, the first conclusion here to drive is that the higher than expected passenger demand has pushed yields up, while lower fuel costs, which again is the first or the second largest airline cost, at least in the US, have worked as a sound revenue cost booster strategy for airlines, allowing many to return to profitability.
Right. So, but the key question is, Renee, is going forward, what should we expect in terms of fuel prices, moving into 2023?
Correct. So will fuel prices stay below $3 per gallon, or new economic sanctions, especially if the European Union's ban most crude import from Russia, as of yesterday, December the 5th, might mean oil prices may have further or higher price volatility and market disruption going forward? That is a good question that everybody's asking, in the airline business. So looking at where oil production was in November, the OPEC Plus and its allies, including Russia, cut production by 5% to 42 million barrels per day. Moreover, a new meeting held on December the 4th in Vienna, fortunately from this coalition, agreed to stick to the current oil output prices. But still, there are concerns that about oil prices that they might continue fluctuating going forward due to
Mhm.
a slowing global economy and the war in Ukraine, which are making it harder to ensure price stability. In addition, you have, as I mentioned, a new fresh round of crude imports sanctions executed by the European Union, especially on the case on the Russia oil, which is expected to increase fuel prices and further accelerate oil market disruption. Having said that, you have as well Asia Pacific airlines, including Chinese carriers, that will continue pushing capacity to the market, especially if China softens its COVID zero stance, which can spark
Mhm.
hopes of an outside oil demand and further accelerate fuel prices. And I'm sure this is something we are going to be discussing in the event in May.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll definitely be discussing this in May, and I'd love to jump right in to the second key challenge that we'll also be discussing in May with our new track on labor and staffing as well. So I know you said the second key challenge is about labor costs. So I'd love to hear more of that, especially considering there is announcement of a strike happening on December 9th now.
Correct. So, I mean, the second challenge is labor costs, which, in addition to higher unexpected fuel costs, as these costs will push unit costs to the next level. If you look, what are the two key costs driving the airline industry is fuel costs and labor costs. Again, labor could be the first or the second airline cost pushing, airlines to rethink their strategy. Apart from the expected higher jet fuel prices and potentially a capacity cuts in Q1 2023, at least in the US and Europe, which will mean fewer seats miles will be flown, and therefore that will put extra pressure on unit costs. A number of labor contracts are being renegotiated by airlines unions as we speak,
Mm.
especially as wages has not been keeping up with rising inflation numbers. Therefore, it is expected revised labor rates will be increased further unit cost to the next level. And this is something again that I'm sure we are going to be discussing in the event in May.
Right, absolutely. Can you dive into that a little more? How have rates moved compared to the pre-pandemic level?
Well, few examples, I can give you few examples. A key network carrier in the US mentioned in the most recent earnings call that clearly labor rates at the regional carriers have moved during the pandemic, and they are significantly higher. They're seeing significantly higher rates today that compared to pre-pandemic levels. That's one example.
Mm.
Besides, pilots and other airline workers, including flight attendants, are asking for higher pay rates in their new and under discussion contracts and labor deals. This is
Mhm.
happening at Delta Airlines, which pilots may get a 30% increase. I mean, that's 30% increase. That's a big increase. At JetBlue, this is happening as well. As well, this is happening to some other carriers. In fact, as of last month, United Airlines pilot rejected a deal for a nearly 15% increase over 18 months. Meanwhile, you have Alaska Airlines pilots that ratified a new contract in October this year. Under the new agreement, a number of pilots will be getting on an average 20% increase. Therefore, these labor negotiations will have a clear and profound impact on rising unit costs. Besides inflation that is already pushing as well, unit costs and fuel costs that may potentially escalate in the future. Besides, typically, the first quarter of the year is the slowest travel month of the year. If US and European carriers shrink seat capacity because of the slowing down of this season as expected in the first quarter of 2023, it will automatically increase unit costs as they will be spread out among fewer seats and miles. And that is a high level that is a high level related to labor costs.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's a lot to think about. There are a lot of moving parts here, as always, in our industry, and I'd love to hear what your third key challenge is for airlines that they'll be facing in the first half of 2023.
So the third one is the upcoming economic headwinds and how they will impact airline revenues and costs in the first half of 2023. On a recent executed poll to industry colleagues and with different conversations with industry friends related to how unit costs will behave, 82% believe costs will go up and 69% answer they believe airline revenue will go up as well. The good
Mm,
news is that revenue is expected to grow, but the bad news is that the cost is expected to grow even faster. So there's going to be an imbalance at the end when you look at the bottom line.
yeah.
So the key question is to what percent units will go up versus unit revenues will go up versus unit cost, and how margins will be impacted. Will they be
Mm,
impacted positively or negatively? The good word of mouth is that many in the Eastern industry are expecting demand to stay strong, to continue growing, forward bookings to strengthen and yields to remain high in the first half of 2023. And even under potential and oncoming economic headwinds that is going to be putting extra pressure on unit costs as discussed. However, other key macroeconomic concerns remain inflation, potentially lower or worse yet, exhausted disposable income level for leisure activities affecting
mm,
flying, the health of the job market. We have wages, if they are going to be able to keep up with inflation or not. We have higher interest rate. We have the strength of the dollar, at least for airlines that operate in other currencies, or even for many non-US airlines that have dollar exposure in the form of oil prices, aircraft purchases, leasing, maintenance, just to name a few. And finally, you have high credit card debt. Furthermore,
mm.
and to keep up with rising prices, many consumers are leaning on credit card, and it is not clear up until when that spending level can be maintained as of today, especially for leisure-related activities, and that's a big question. To conclude,
Right.
airlines should expect higher unit costs in the first half of 2023, which is going to translate into lower margins and lower profitability unless demand and disposable income continues strong. And a focused capacity discipline is in place, allowing yields and RASMs to reach the next level as airlines aim to minimize the impact on rising unit costs strategically, at least on the first quarter of 2023, while aiming to minimize the additional cost pressure impact that is going to be suffering the bottom line.
Absolutely. And this is all stuff we're going to be talking about at Aviation Festival Americas 2023, especially on our revenue and distribution track, and our staffing and labor track. Very excited about all of this, Renee. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And I'm sure we'll be in touch and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to welcoming in many industry colleagues, friends, sponsors, suppliers, and speakers, and new participants to the event in May 16th and 17th in Miami.
Wonderful. Thanks, Renee.
Thank you.